it's just so special for such our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeahthedees, where I am going through our Round 7 AFLW win against the Bulldogs down at Casey Fields. 64 points, fantastic margin, able to keep the Bulldogs to just the one goal for the entire game as we got 10 on the board. Changes from last week's team was Matty Gay came out for Casey Sheriff. Matty Gay did have an absolute ripping game the week before this one and unfortunately came out for it. But Casey Sheriff had a really good game this one. Pretty solid game. It was a bit tight in the first quarter. We had heaps of the ball. It was very much played in our forward line, but could only really convert the one goal one. I had been begging in the last couple of weeks for Alyssa Bannon to be put in a position to get a bit more of the ball, and she played more forward this time and was rewarded getting 3 goals on the board for the game. So, yay, thank you for listening to me, if anyone did actually listen to me. She needs to be involved a lot more, just because when she gets the ball, there's a bit of pep in the game. She's very similar to the way that Jaden Hunt was for the Dees, but playing forward instead of in defence and helping us with a bit of run. After the first quarter, where only one goal was scored, the Bulldogs got on the board with their only goal for the game, and we were able to kick 3 goals 7. So we dominated the ball, had a lot of it, but unfortunately weren't very accurate. And the rest of the game just pretty much rolled on like that, with the vast majority being played in our forward half of the ground. We kicked another 2 goals, 1 in the third quarter, and then 4 goals, 4 in the last. Alyssa Bannon with the 3 goals, Eden Zanker and Taylor Harris with 2 each. Eliza West, Kate Hoare and Sabrina Duffy also getting on the board. So it looks like Sabrina Duffy's pretty good for at least a goal a game. She looks really composed when she has the ball, which is fantastic. There was a really nasty head knock between Karen Paxman and Lauren Pearce in the third quarter, I'm pretty sure it was. Karen Paxman just opened up straight away and was bleeding. Lauren Pearce, I didn't really see her for much of the game after that, had a huge golf ball on her head from where she got hit. It was a really, really bad head knock, but I think both didn't end up concussed, which was nice. Great return for Alyssa Bannon. Only the 8 disposals, 4 kicks, but 3 of those kicks ended up being goals. Tyler Hanks absolutely dominated throughout the middle in the game. 18 disposals for her. She just looks so composed with the ball when she has it. She knows exactly where to run. She's a great footballer. Eliza West, her partner in crime there, with 24 disposals as well. Karen Paxman got 19. She was running around giving off handballs everywhere. Taylor Harris had a good run in the ruck, especially in the last quarter. 14 disposals for her, kicked 2 goals, 2 for the game. We've just got this really, really solid core of players that are just going to keep being really, really consistent at the level. Tyler Hanks, Taylor Harris, Kate Hoare, Lily Mithing, Karen Paxman, Daisy Pearce, Lauren Pearce, Olivia Purcell, Casey Sheriff, Eliza West, Eden Zanker. The Irish girls are still looking pretty good. Libby Birch, there's all those players that you know what to expect from them every game now, and that's really exciting to see, and that's why we get big solid results like this from this team being together. I expected a bit more out of the Bulldogs, considering that they've been around as long as us, but they did get gutted a little bit at the end of last year. So yeah, really dominated in disposals, and we see a big high discrepancy in handballs again. We had as many handballs as they had kicks for the game. And this is just from our handball happy game that we play, very similar to the AFL team. Our free kicks were pretty even. It was a well umpired game. They do let a little bit more go in the AFLW. Look at the inside 50 differential, 40-12. It was just absolutely monstered when it comes to possession with the ball and dominating that. So all round a pretty good game. We're currently sitting 3rd on the ladder, and the good news about that is the 2 teams above us play each other this week. So we have the Gold Coast, who are sitting in 8th. They've had a pretty decent sort of run at it. They're sitting on 4 and 3. Yeah, get me over here. They're sitting on 4 and 3. Even with the Kangaroos and the Bulldogs, who we just played. So sort of a team around what we played last week against the Bulldogs. So we should get the win, even though it is up in Gold Coast, up at the Metricon Stadium. And then, we get the win on the board, and we'll sit on top of the ladder, which would be really, really nice. Let's get on to our trade thoughts for this week. All right, so let's go through some trades here. All the trades now that it's all done. I know I said this would come out Wednesday. It's Thursday now, but better late than never. So I like to look at the trades overall for the entire trade period rather than picking them out one at a time and looking at winners and losers. I think we look at it as a whole because some assets that come in get flipped for others. And it's not really like a direct correlation. Like we traded, a bunch of these picks out to be able to get pick 27 to then shoot over for Brody Gundy, and then that pick doesn't end up on either the in or the out. So we just look at it as a whole. We knew going into this that Luke Jackson would not be staying at the club. He did us a favour of just nominating either team in Western Australia, although he definitely preferred Fremantle, as that's sort of come out in the wash now. A lot of people upset with what we got for them, but 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick is probably really the best that Fremantle could do. Was hoping for West Coast's pick 2. I was very surprised to see that West Coast traded out pick 2 and not get Luke Jackson. That seemed like a very surprising move, especially since they need a new ruckman very, very soon. Like Fremantle is in the position where Sean Darcy is their number 1 ruckman, and Luke Jackson's going to be in a very similar position that he was with Max. Like, I understand that he doesn't want to be just a ruckman and that sort of thing, but that's pretty much where he's best suited. I don't know if you can play him as a ruck rover. I don't know if he's hard enough at the ball to go for that, and I don't know if his overhead marking is good enough to really be a proper key forward, and he'll probably be one of the main targets up forward now that Rory Lobb has passed on from Fremantle. So I'm not too worried about this trade really hurting us in the long run. I actually see Fremantle falling out of the 8 with the amount of trades that they've done, but that's enough about Fremantle. Toby Bedford was the big surprise for me that left. GWS came calling for him and made a really, really good offer and offered some game time. So I just feel that he's just a little bit too far down in the pecking order, and that's why he made this decision to go ahead with that. It's better for him money-wise. It's better for him probably career-wise to really go and have a crack at GWS. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame that we couldn't get much value for him. When you're further down the pecking order, behind like Neil Bullen, Spargo, Chandler, and those sort of boys, it's going to be, it's difficult for those sort of positions, and especially when they probably should have made a few changes to bring Toby Bedford towards the end of the season. But he got a good enough crack throughout it. Another surprise was Jaden Hunt. After playing so many games in the last 2 years, I was very surprised to see him end up in West Coast. He's finally playing with a squad that's making finals and competing, and now he's going to go to a team that's not competing. So I guess he just wants to rank in some money, kick the footy around and go surfing. So good on Jaden. Thanks for the memories, the torpedoes, the fast dashing runs, the frost ball, all of that sort of thing. So not really too fussed about that one. Just realised I was missing Lockie Hunter in the list, so I just added him in. Sam Wiedemann's the next one, another little bit of a shock. I've never wanted a player to succeed more than Sam Wiedemann, and there is such a big contingent of Melbourne supporters that were all right behind him, wanting him to become that big key forward that we wanted, that we saw in maybe a handful of games. The one that really springs to mind, of course, is Geelong 2018, but other than that game, he never really got there. He played 59 games in the red and blue over the last 7 years. He had a really good run at it this year. He played 10 games, had 5 games in a row, and just could never really solidify that spot. I don't know whether it's mental or effort-based, but he just doesn't chase. He doesn't put in the second efforts. He's a run and mark player, and if he doesn't get the mark, it wasn't really doing much. A lot of the club tried a lot with him, even slotting him into that sort of backup Luke Jackson role, being a hybrid forward and ruckman, and he played some okay games like that. He at least ends up with a VFL premiership. He's spent a lot of time kicking bags in the VFL, and look, he's one of those players where the quality of defenders in the VFL he can easily beat, but the quality of defenders in the AFL, it's a lot harder for him to achieve what he was doing at the lower level. Bunch of picks go out: 33, 43, 53, 67, 72. These are all picks that we weren't going to be using this year in the draft. We also got out our future third and a future fourth. But let's talk about what we're bringing into the club, and I'm actually pretty excited about this. I spoke about it in the video last week about Brody Grundy and how I'm excited for how I think him and Gawn will work on the ground. He's easily able to find the midfielders with his taps. So I think we'll see a big improvement in our clearance game next year, which I'm really excited for. Lockie Hunter is really good friends with Clayton Oliver, and he will be fantastic on the opposite wing on the other side of Ed Langdon. And then this will also open up for James Jordan to be able to play a bit of a hybrid role between coming in and taking some minutes off the midfielders in the middle, but then also running on the opposite Ed Langdon wing as well, which is a position he's played a lot over the last 2 years. Josh Shackey comes into the side. Not the hugest fan of Josh Shackey. I think he's an okay, serviceable player. I'm not sure how much time he will spend in the seniors side. I just think it's really interesting that we got two Bulldogs players 12 months after we beat them in the grand final. It's just interesting. It's not something that you usually see, where a team will defeat another team in a grand final and end up with a couple of their players only a year later. We also have picks 13 and 37 in the draft this year, so we'll only be drafting 2 players. And then we've got a future first and future second for next year's super draft, which I'm pretty excited about. I think this disruption at Freo and the amount of players that they've had leave will make it really hard for them to make the top 8, so that future first could end up being a pretty handy pick. And then it really comes down to who you pick with it, not really what number it is. If we pick a superstar with pick 13 or this future first pick, and they become a 10-year superstar with the Dees, you're not going to worry about what we lost for Luke Jackson. But if, pick 13 or this future first ends up being a dud, then you're going to be really bothered by it. So the result is completely down to what happens with the individual human that gets picked at those picks. And that's really what it comes down to. So that's my initial thoughts on the trades. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching Yeahthedees. And next week I'll be doing another review on the AFLW, and I'm thinking I'll have a look at what our best 22 looks like for next year. So thank you for watching, and it's been Yeahthedees.
Petrarca! Oh wow! How good is that? Sparrow to make it a 3-goal, 3-pointer, I believe. He's got it! Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver, streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Melbourne are the premiers for 2021!
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.